guys, I'm Stephanie,
And I'm Tiffany,
and we are
Sisters
Sisters
of
of
the
the
South.
South. We are back again today with another true crime story, but we'd like to share something with you. We have been recording today for well over 12 hours. We did about 8 videos. We got in there to edit, and guess what?
No sound.
No sound. So we're doing our videos over again. If you didn't see our last video, we mentioned it there too. So bear with us. We're a little delirious. It's about, 2 a.m. in the morning. We're back at it again. But because we love you so much, and this is the month of love, we're going to continue to share the love.
That's right.
So we're here. Not only is February Valentine's Day, but it's also our birthday month.
Woohoo!
Woo! We're getting a year older.
Oh, yay.
And it's a short month. So whatever you're doing, hit the ground running because you don't have a whole lot of time to get it done for February. Also, don't forget to get that special gift for your special loved one as well. That's coming up really soon. So, yeah, and also before we get started on the video, we want to mention our favorite vendor and friends over at SoFly.
SoFly!
SoFly! Not so small!
Not so.
Not no mo! Sorry, Greg. Hey, I've got to give him a shout out. We're going to eventually write a song and a little jingle for him. It's going to get famous. We just know it will.
We're working on it. Every video we add more and more.
We do. And they're a family-owned business here in Houston, Texas, and they specialize in embroidery and laser work. So what they do is they take accessories such as purses, caps, hoodies, t-shirts, and they'll put your logo, your initials, your name, whatever you want on it. They have an array of colors you can choose from, and they'll specialize it to your needs. Also, with the laser work, they do keychains, and they'll do cutting boards, and they do patches that are really beautiful. They do our merchandise, and they're going to start working on some of our special merchandise for CrimeCon coming up in Denver in September. So we're super excited about that. We will share that once we get that completed. But we are going to link their information in the description box, and we're going to share a video. So here we go.
All right, guys, we hope you enjoyed that video. Go check them out, buy some stuff, and let them know we sent you. You're going to love it because they're awesome.
They are awesome, and you are going to love your merchandise. Now, before I turn it over to Tiffany, we're just going to ask a small favor. Please hit that like button. Also, subscribe if you like our stories. We love to share them with you. And hit that notification bell so every time Sisters of the South uploads a new video, you know about it. And also, throw in some comments. Let us know what you think. If you think outside the box, if you're one of those armchair detectives like we are, give us some ideas of what your thoughts are. We love to hear them, and we love to respond. So we appreciate every comment, every like, and every subscriber. So we appreciate you and thank you for your time. And so now I'm going to turn it over to Tiff to share her story.
All right, guys. Charles Raymond Starkweather was born November 24th, 1938 in Lincoln, Nebraska. Charles was the fourth of 7 children. His father was a carpenter who was often unemployed due to rheumatoid arthritis in his hands, and his mother worked as a waitress to supplement the family's income. Charles's father would later admit to having pushed Charles into a window, and later his wife would divorce him on the grounds of extreme cruelty. Charles had a speech impediment and recalled nothing positive of his time in school, claiming he was teased by his classmates. And as he grew older and stronger, the only subject Charles excelled in was physical education, where he found an outlet for his rage against those who bullied him. Charles began to bully all kinds. No. Charles began to bully all of the kids who had once picked on him. Eventually, he felt rage against anyone he didn't like. His high school friend Bob Von Bush later recalled, He could be the kindest person you've ever seen. He'd do anything for you if he liked you. He was a hell of a lot of fun to be around, too. Everything was just one big joke to him. But he had his other side. He could be mean as hell, cruel. If he saw some poor guy on the street who was bigger than he was, better looking or better dressed, he'd try to take the poor bastard down to his size.
Wow, he must have ran into a lot of people he didn't like because there's always someone that looks better than you
Oh,
and
yeah.
is better than you.
Well, I mean, not me, but
Well, I mean, of course not you, but me on the other hand, there's always
That-
someone who can size me up.
that was a joke, guys.
We all know how great Tiff is. I mean,
Yeah,
she's a prize.
sure. By the time Charles dropped out of school his senior year, his parents and family were afraid of him due to his violent outbursts.
Interesting, because they were a violent family.
Maybe he got bigger.
He must have been extremely angry, like way more than them.
Well, he had been picked on by his classmates, his family. He's just pissed off at everyone.
Yeah, true.
In 1956, at age 18, Charles was introduced to 13-year-old Carol Ann Fugate. They met through Carol's sister Barbara, who was dating Charles's friend Bob Von Bush. Carol Ann Fugate was born July 30th, 1943 in Lincoln, Nebraska, and lived with her mother and stepfather. It was said that Carol was very intelligent and was well liked by all of her peers. Charles and Carol became very close. Charles took a job at a newspaper warehouse because it was near Carol's school, and he began to visit her every day after school. Charles taught Carol how to drive, and one day, Carol wrecked the car that belonged to Charles's father, who kicked Charles out of the house. After this, Charles quit his newspaper warehouse job and became a garbage collector.
Nice.
Around this time, Charles began developing Around this time, Charles began developing a nihilistic worldview, which is any viewpoint that rejects generally accepted or fundamental aspects of human existence, namely knowledge, mortality, or meaning. Charles believed that his current situation was the final determinant of how he would live the rest of his life, while striving only to satisfy his biological needs and acquire power over others.
Man, that's a very difficult way to think. Life is way more simplistic than that.
Well, he settled on a personal philosophy. Dead people are all on the same level. Well, I mean, yeah, technically.
I mean, technically, when we're born, we're all on the same level, and when we die, we're on the same level. In between, it's what you make of it.
So how is that technically a philosophy? Yeah, that's facts.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. This
But okay.
guy likes to be complicated.
Yeah, sounds like it. On November 30th, 1957, Charles tried to purchase a stuffed animal from a local gas station, and he got angry when the attendant, Robert Colvert, would not sell it to him on credit. Charles then robbed Colvert at gunpoint, then took him out to the woods where he shot him in the head, killing him.
Over a stuffed animal.
It was important.
Okay. That's nuts to me. So this guy just got enraged
Over
because
a
he
stuffed animal.
couldn't charge a stuffed animal. Yeah. Has to be more of the story than that. That's just what he's saying.
I would hope so.
He was probably trying to steal it and the guy caught him
Possibly.
and it pissed him off. So he went into a rage. That's probably what happened. But
Yep.
heck, what do I know?
I wasn't there.
Yeah.
On January 21st, 1958, Charles went to Carol Fugate's home. Carol's mother and stepfather, Velda and Marion Bartlett, told Charles to stay away from their daughter. Charles fatally shot Velda and Marion, then strangled and stabbed their 2-year-old daughter, Betty Jean.
That's horrible.
Charles hid the bodies in the outhouse and chicken coop behind the house. Now, Charles later states that Carol was there the entire time, but Carol claims she came home to find Charles there alone, waiting for her with a gun. She said he told her that her family was being held hostage and that if she did exactly what he said, her family would be safe. Otherwise, they would be killed. For the next 6 days, the two camped out in her house with a sign on the front window that read, "Everybody is sick with the flu."
Okay. She never asked for 6 whole days. She never said, "Let me see my family. Where are my family?
Who's holding them hostage?
Yeah, where are they? Yeah, who's got them? Can I see them? Proof of life?"
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the police had been called when Carol's grandmother arrived on January 27th and became suspicious of the note.
Well, yeah.
Of course. When police broke into the house was in order and they found no one there. A few days later, Charles's brother Rodney and his friend Bob Von Bush searched the house and found the stashed bodies. The police issued an alert to pick up both Charles and Carol. Now, the couple had remained in the house until right before the police arrived.
Okay.
Charles and Carol drove to the farmhouse of 70-year-old August Meyer, a family friend of Charles's who lived in Bennett, Nebraska, which is about 17 miles from Lincoln. Charles killed Meyer with a shotgun blast to the head, then killed Meyer's dog. Why the dog?
I was just thinking
I know that's
that.
horrible, but what was his point?
I mean, you're killing your friend, but then you kill the dog too. What is the point? This guy's just an idiot.
Yeah. Charles and Carol then fled the area, but when Charles drove their car into the mud, dumbass, two teenagers, Robert Jensen and Carol King, stopped to help. Charles forced them to drive back to an abandoned storm cellar in Bennett. Charles shot Jensen in the back of the head. He then attempted to rape King, but King put up too much of a fight. Charles became angry with her and fatally shot her as well. The couple fled in Jensen's car.
Oh, he got mad because how dare you reject me?
Yeah.
I'm going to force myself on you. How dare you fight back? I mean, please. She should have racked that motherfucker right in the nuts. He wouldn't have been able to do shit. But anyway, okay, moving on.
Their next stop was in a wealthy section of Lincoln, Nebraska, at the home of industrialist C. Lawyer Ward. Charles stabbed his maid, Lillian Finkel, to death, then waited for Lawyer and Clara to return home. Charles then killed the family dog to keep it from alerting the Wards.
Really?
I think he just likes killing everyone.
Yes.
Clara Ward arrived home first alone, and she was stabbed to death. When Lawyer returned home that evening, Charles shot and killed him. Now, while in the home, the Ward's newspaper arrived. Charles and Carol cut out the front page pictures of themselves and Carol's dead family to take with them. Then they filled Ward's black 1956 Packard car with stolen jewelry from the house and fled Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
And the murders of the Wards caused an uproar in Lancaster County. There was an ongoing panic about juvenile delinquency.
Really? Yeah. To say the least.
Yeah,
at
no
this
joke.
point.
Law enforcement in the region sent their officers on a house-to-house search for the perpetrators. After several sightings of Charles and Carol, the Lincoln Police Department was accused of incompetence for being unable to capture the couple. Vigilante gangs were formed, and the local sheriff started forming a posse by arming men he found in bars.
Hey, that's perfect. Because they don't give a shit.
I love it. Like, yeah, you look good. Let's go.
Yep.
After the Ward's Packard had been identified, Charles and Carol needed a new car. That's when they came upon traveling salesman Merle Collison, sleeping in his Buick along the highway outside Douglas, Wyoming, which is 522 miles from Lincoln, Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
After Collison was awakened, he was fatally shot. Well, Collison's Buick had a brake mechanism that Charles was unfamiliar with, causing it to stall when he tried to drive away. He tried to restart the engine, and a passing motorist, Joe Sprinkle, stopped to try to help. Charles threatened Sprinkle with the rifle, and an altercation ensued. At that moment, Natrona County Sheriff's Deputy William Romer arrived on scene. Carol ran to him, yelling something to the effect of, "It's Charles Starkweather. He's going to kill me."
Okay, after all this time, she hasn't been scared of him one time.
But the cop showed up.
But the cops show up, and she's a victim, guys. After cutting the clippings out of the newspaper and killing dogs and kids and farmers and stealing jewelry, now she's scared for her life. Okay.
He's gonna kill me.
We see how she plays.
Uh-huh. Charles drove off and was involved in a car chase with 3 officers: Romer, Douglas Police Chief Robert Ainsley, and Converse County Sheriff Earl Heflin, exceeding speeds of 100 miles per hour. A bullet was fired, shattering the windshield, and flying glass cut Charles's ear deep enough to cause bleeding. Charles stopped, surrendered, and was taken into custody near Douglas, Wyoming on January 29, 1958. Heflin said he thought he was bleeding to death. That's why he stopped. That's the kind of yellow son of a bitch he is.
Oh, that's funny.
It's his ear.
Well, it grazed him, right? And it freaked him out.
But I mean,
well, the same thing that happened to Trump is the way I picture it.
I understand that, but he's like, oh shit.
Right?
I gotta pull over. He was a badass up until his ear got cut.
Absolutely. Now he's scared for his life.
That's right. So Charles chose to be extradited from Wyoming to Nebraska. He believed that either state would have him executed. He was not aware, however, that Milford Simpson, Wyoming's governor at the time, opposed the death penalty.
Good enough.
After the jury deliberated for only 22 hours, Charles was convicted for the murder of Jensen, the only murder which he was tried.
Wow.
On May 23, 1958, Charles Starkweather was sentenced to death, and he was executed in the electric chair at the Nebraska State Penitentiary in Lincoln, Nebraska at 12:04 a.m. on June 25, 1958.
Good enough.
And is buried in Wyuka Cemetery in Lincoln, Nebraska, where 5 of his victims are also buried.
That is horrible.
I agree.
Sorry.
Charles first said that he kidnapped Carol and that she had nothing to do with the murders. However, he changed the story several times.
Shocker.
No way. He testified against her at her trial, saying she was a willing participant. Carol has always maintained that Charles was holding her hostage by threatening to kill her family, claiming she was unaware that they were already dead. Well, what about those pictures you got on you?
Right.
Of your dead family.
You knew the whole time.
That's right. The judge ruled that she had ample opportunity to escape and gave her a life sentence on November 21st, 1958.
Absolutely.
She was the youngest person in American history to be tried for first-degree murder at the time. Carol Fugate was paroled on good behavior after 18 years.
Unbelievable.
Married and changed her name to Carol Ann Clare. In February 2020, she attempted to get pardon from the Nebraska Pardons Board. Her request was denied.
Good deal.
Though it has been more than 60 years since the infamous Starkweather murders, his name and infamy lives on in books, songs, and films to this day. Bruce Springsteen's Nebraska is based on the murders, and Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire references the Starkweather homicide.
Cool.
The Starkweather murders also inspired films such as Badlands in 1973, California in 1993, Natural Born Killers in 1994, and of course Starkweather in 2004.
Yep. All good movies. Now I'm going to have to go back and rewatch them.
Yes, because I had to look that up a couple of times because I thought there is no way, but yeah, that's amazing.
Makes sense.
So, guys, tell us what you think. Do you believe Carol was kidnapped and forced into being part of these killings? Or do you think she was truly in love with Charles and following the love of her life wherever he went?
I mean, y'all all know what I think. She was right in there with him, buddy. She had a plan. They planned it together. They did it together.
Well, and I know she was young, but when you see the pictures of these two together, it does not look like she's being held hostage.
No, I don't think she was held hostage.
No.
Now, you could say that, because the frontal lobe is not developed at such a young age that, she wasn't even legal to give consent at that point in time. And he was, quote unquote, a grown adult. Um, it could be argued that he forced her to do it because she couldn't give legal consent. But again, she was right along for the ride the whole time. So, I'm of the thinking that if you are a young teenage kid who makes a bad decision and takes someone's life, then you should be tried as an adult.
I agree.
Period. That's just how I feel. I've always felt that way. I know that there's bad circumstances, but, if you take someone's life, you have to pay those consequences for that, regardless of your age. So yeah, I think Carol's just as guilty, if not worse, because that was her family, as Charles was. My
I
personal
agree.
opinion.
I agree.
Yeah. And don't give her the pardon. Yay for whoever did not give her the pardon.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, guys, let us know what you think. Leave some comments. We love the comments. And thanks for sticking it out with us, even though it's been a very long night, day, whatever. Both.
Both for us, yes.
So, until our next episode, please remember to see the good and stay imperfectly perfect. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Oh, and happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.